Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another rather interesting combo to test out, and I don't really know if it's going to work out in our favor or if it might actually start really dispersing our pattern. These shells have been decent, but nothing necessarily over the top special either, but the setup that we're going to put them through, or at least with this particular choke, may or may not work out in our favor. But first up, for the shells that we're running today, I brought out some of the Hevi-Shot Hevi-Bismuth turkey loads. These are a 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of 4s and 5s, moving about 1,300 feet per second. Hevi-Shot in general, whether it's bismuth or Hevi-Shot or heavy TSS or anything like that, can be a little hit or miss in our testing with them. There are definitely some loads that are way better than others. These ones are kind of somewhere in the middle, at least so far anyway. But with them being a bismuth 4 and 5 blend, I don't know how they're quite going to play with this particular setup we've got. There's a chance that we can really condense this pattern down and actually get a nice performance from it. So we'll see what happens. But for the setup we're running today, I brought out my Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, we're going to be running a Truglo SSX. This is the Strut Stopper Xtreme. It's a 670 constriction, but this 835 is overboard to 10 gauge specs, so a 670 constriction out of the end of the barrel is quite a bit of choke right at the end. So going from overbore down to a 670 may or may not actually work out with these bismuth loads. I don't know that we've ever tested a bismuth pellet through this sort of combination where we have that much choke right at the end of the barrel, equivalent to what the bore diameter is anyway. So we'll see how it plays out, because this choke on its own has been a nasty performer in our testing. So can it work with a bismuth shell or not? Before today's test, we're running everything the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono to get the velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see if we actually do get that nice tight condensed spread like we typically see from that Truglo SSX, or if it's too much choke and does some very weird things with the bismuth load. I don't know exactly what we're going to see, but let's take our shot and see what happens. Okay, that shell gave us 1,400 through the chrono. Boss claim is only 1,300, so we are 100 above their claim. That's not entirely unusual for a Hevi-Shot shell to run a little quick, but they're definitely starting to get up and move on out, that's for sure. But for a bismuth load, they will be carrying a little more energy down there as well. But did we actually get a usable pattern, or did that 670 actually start blowing our pattern all apart? Let's go check it out and see. Okay, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and it actually looks pretty decent, all things considered. Now, first off, yeah, we favored way over there off to the left. It's not terribly uncommon for that shotgun to favor a touch to the left, but it seems like this particular shell and choke combo really kind of favored over there to the left. I felt perfect about that shot, and I have a ton of rounds through that shotgun, so I know where my bead usually hits, and that is way off, but that's why we use the backing sheet so we can see our entire pattern, and we actually have a somewhat decent one here. Now, do we still have a dead bird? Probably. There's one right kind of between one of the vertebrae and the brain there that probably would have done the job, as well as a couple down there in the lower neck area that might have gotten into something. But obviously, if we had that centered up a lot better, it would absolutely be a dead turkey at 40 yards all day long. That's a pretty nice even spread of them there for sure. It might not be overly condensed down, having a super tight core area. It's definitely not, Longbeard XR lead territory, but for a bismuth load, that's also a Hevi-Shot made shell, that's a pretty solid pattern there. Nice even spread overall. I think when we actually pull that turkey target down and draw some bigger circles, it's going to be a pretty nice hunting pattern. Now, around the edges, we definitely strung a good few of them down here, kind of way over to the right as well, all the way up to the top right corner up there. So I think what's probably starting to happen here is that 670 is getting us a pretty condensed area of spread, but it's probably a touch over constricted, at least from that particular 835 for these shells, because we're starting to see that scattered edge that we see when it comes to an over choked combination. A lot of times you can still keep your core, but the tighter you go, the more sporadic the edges get. This isn't bad. This is still absolutely usable. It's not necessarily a ton of scattered stuff, but I think that's probably what we're starting to see here. Either way though, I'd say it worked out just fine for us. It could have absolutely been a terrible result. That choke combo combo with that constriction and these being a bismuth load could have absolutely ruined the pattern and just scattered everything and made it look like a waterfowl spread. And we really don't see that. So just initially looking here, that's a perfectly solid 40-yard turkey hunting pattern for what these shells are. But let's actually pull down our turkey target. We'll draw our big circles and count all of our pellets and see just how nice and even this spread is. Because I think that is going to be where this pattern shines, is just how evenly spread it is throughout the main portion of it anyway. All right, now we've got our big circles drawn, now that we've got our turkey target out of our way, and we can really see how this pattern performed. And it looks about like I thought it would. We have a 10 and 20-inch circle drawn here. You can definitely see how far it is over there to the left now. But within our 10-inch ring, we have 88 pellets. Nice even spread of them there as well. No major void areas there. Definitely nothing that a turkey is ever going to wander through and escape from you. Absolutely 40-yard capable core there for sure. Outside of that, with our 20-inch sort of leeway ring, we have 111 additional pellets, and it is still kept pretty even for the most part. Might have a little thin spot down in the bottom left corner, and it might be a little bit thinner up here around the top edge, but for the most part, everything within that 20-inch circle there is just a pretty decent even hunting spread. It might not light up the pattern board necessarily, but it's certainly going to do the job out to 40 on a turkey. Outside of that though, you can see how we definitely scattered a bunch of stuff all around the edges there. So it does appear to kind of be doing what I thought it would earlier, where we still kept a pretty nice even main portion of our spread, but that much choke at the end of an overboard barrel, I think is starting to just kind of scatter the edges. That's probably one of the better core areas and stuff we've seen of these shells, but I think we actually have seen a little more condensed and even edges to the pattern through a standard bore with another turkey choke or two. So this is not a bad pattern whatsoever. It would absolutely be usable. If that's what you had or wanted to run, then yeah, absolutely, that combo would work perfectly fine for you. Overall, I think this is pretty much run-of-the-mill for these shells. We have that decent core area for what they are, but we scattered the edges a little more than what we have seen from some other combos. So maybe not perfect, but still good enough. And I mean, that pattern isn't too far off of what you would get from a Super X or Double X shell most of the time. Sometimes those other loads can pattern a little better than what this does, but if the prices are close and this is what the store would have, it would certainly work in place of one of those Super or Double X shells. Although I think, if my memory serves me correct, that these are typically a little more expensive per shell than what those Winchesters are. But either way, this really isn't too bad, and we could have seen a lot worse from them for sure. So it did all right, all things considered. And here's the wad out of that shell. No major damage or anything I'm concerned with. That choke does have some porting and stuff on it. So, I mean, we did catch the tail end of it just a little bit, but nothing out of the usual. Looks very much standard. And it definitely did its job, that's for sure. Even though the pattern might start to show a little bit of overconstriction, we're not completely destroying the wad yet. So really nothing I'm worried about here on this one. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? It's a perfectly solid, plenty capable turkey pattern. You've got a decently even core area there. It gives you a little bit of leeway to work with within your 20-inch ring. So as far as a hunting spread goes, it's going to do the job just fine for you. You could push that a little farther if you misjudged your range a little bit or something. I'm sure that would still hold up to about 45 or so. Potentially 50, but I would suggest trying that before you just take it out and crack a shot off in the field like that. But for what it is, a Hevi-Shot bismuth load through an overboard barrel with a 670 choke, I think it did all right, all things considered. Might have started to just blow the edges out a little bit, but nothing too drastic necessarily. It would just work. If that's the combo you had or wanted to run, it seems like you would be perfectly fine for any average turkey hunt scenario. And it definitely could have been a lot worse too. I don't think we've ever tested bismuth or a Hevi-Shot load for that matter through that particular choke combo, so it could have absolutely ruined the pattern. But it really didn't. That Truglo SSX has been a pretty solid performance choke in our testing with it so far. So overall, really not too bad. It's perfectly usable. Might not be the best thing we've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst either, that's for sure. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these heavy bismuth shells, and if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern, a shell, or a combination that you would hunt with? Or would you still prefer something else, you know, regular long Longbeard XR lead load or even TSS, even though you don't technically need it in a 12 gauge to do the job just fine. And maybe what other combos do you want to see us run with either these shells, or what other shells do you want to see us put through that 835 with that Truglo SSX 670 choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, you have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.